All right, we are live. Welcome everyone to the Coaching to Flourish podcast. And I am your host, Raj Anderson, Executive Life Coach and Coach Assessor. And I'm here with John Andrew Williams, who is the founder of Coach Training EDU. And we were just having a bit of a chat at the beginning, weren't we, John? How are you doing?
I'm doing all right. Dropped our oldest at NYU summer program. She's 17, so it's I don't know, all those feels. We'll see how a life coach child, a child of two life coaches, see how they fare in the world. We'll find out. So
Well, I
trying.
just heard a future podcast there. Maybe we need to invite her on, What is it like being the child of two life coaches?
She'd be game for it. I mean, yeah, she'd be game for it. Kind of curious. Uh, But I think what helps too is you can have a precision in communication and talk about, different levels and hearing and, all those kinds of things. It just helps.
Well, thank you for sharing your story. What are we focusing on for this rest of the time today?
We got a sweet little demo with Andrew queued up. And I think I don't know how many of these demos I'm running out of. I haven't done one in a while, so we might need to freshen up the demos. So again, an opportunity if anyone has a recording to look at. I'll start getting those lined up too. But let's jump in and take a look and see what we got. Here we are. All right, here's Andrew. Let's see where we start from.
What would be how do you want to use this time together?
There we go. I like that question. Simple, sweet, to the point. See what happens.
Yeah, I think this time I just want to talk about that stagnation of I feel like a lot of coaches could relate to this, but like being in that slow moving phase of growing a business, of growing practice, because it's hard to show up every day when you're waiting on a couple email responses from people and things aren't really moving, and then putting out marketing and that it's hard to know what's sticking, I think, for me. And that's it's a really cool place to be, and I'm learning a lot about myself. I'm being challenged in so many different ways, but I think I'd love just a little like laser coaching on like where like how seeing a little bit clearer like how most efficient my actions can be and where I'm wasting my time and where I'm not.
Yeah. And let's say we get this. Let's say we identify actions aren't working, actions are working.
Yeah.
Why is that important?
It's important because I want to make an impact, and I want to be seen, or not that I want to be seen, but I think it's more I want to be successful in this. I get like at the end of the day, it's like I want to be successful in this because it's like I see that there's a need, and like I want to impact teenagers the way that I saw impacted. Like I really think this is important, and it's important to me, and it's not like I'm so broke right now. It's insane. Like and it's but I also feel like I have nothing to lose, and it's an adventure and it's exciting, but that's not why I'm showing up. Like I'm not stressed about the money. I'm not stressed about the place that I'm in. I'm more stressed about not making steps forward that are the correct steps that I need to do.
Yeah. So what would the measurement of how could you measure the success of this time together?
I think just the measure of success is I think feeling confident. A feeling is hard to measure success, but I think leaving the session and feeling confident with a clear direction to go. would be really helpful.
Okay. I have a suggestion on a exercise.
Okay.
It seems like the of looking at what you would do to create a vision recording, or get that really solid, this idea, like, this is where you're going, this is what you're up to, and this is the impact on the people, to have an impact on your motivation in this space.
Mm-hmm.
Where are you with structures around your motivation? Hey, Raj, look at me taking a risk. Thoughts from an MCC.
I know. I was just like, I was waiting to see what was going to happen next. As I was like, this is cool the way you are offering up. Firstly, lovely kind of questions on the topic and the importance and the measure there. And I noticed, he said laser coaching, we do have, it's like a 17-minute session, and you are leaning into your intuition, and you're talking about the vision recording. So I do want to make a note for anyone, coaches that are listening, who often say, how would I introduce a vision recording, or where would be an example of where it could fit? I'm seeing that this is a great example of introducing that here. What are your thoughts as you're listening to yourself?
Yeah, I think the thing I wish I had picked up on, and I think or at least said explicitly, when Andrew said, I need a new perspective, or I'm in this space. And this is a trained client who's, oh, hey, Ben. This is a trained client who is, you could tell, like, I've worked with Andrew, and this is public knowledge. He shared it, so I can share it too. I think I started working with Andrew when he was 15. So I worked with him when he was a teenager. And, we've worked, we haven't worked officially outside of these demos since. And you can tell, he knows what he's coming with the topic. He has an idea. He even has an idea of the measurement. What I wish I'd picked up on a little bit is more around that perspective work, that internal work of, and I know what it's like to have to get clients. Like, we need to have this money come in order for us to be able to do what we need to do. And Andrew's right on. Like, he is young. He doesn't have a family yet. He can take risk. He has nothing to lose. It's a sweet space to be in, and a really powerful place, for young coaches. Reminds me a lot of myself starting out. So I think the main thing that I feel like I missed was exploring that space just a little bit, but I feel like the vision recording suggestion covers it. So that's my analysis of where this is at right now.
Yeah. And to add to what you're saying, there's a couple of things that I noticed, which I think could be useful with what you're sharing about perspectives. Is he's saying he's got nothing to lose, but he also explicitly uses the language on correct steps. So I'm just curious about where else that might show up for him. I'm always observing language. It could just be a throwaway comment, but there is lots of depth in throwaway comments. So where could there be any kind of misalignment or incongruence between his this side that of, oh, it's fine, easy going, and then there is this other side that is, what are the correct steps I need to take? I'm just putting that out there. I'm just curious.
That is a good listen. I'm not sure either, in this one with him. I feel like he's, that would be a lovely question to ask. For sure. That's fun. All right, let's keep it going. Sally handles this. Oh, another thing I wanted to mention too. I rarely do, like, is it okay if I do this exercise? That's not a usual thing for me. I wanted to showcase it here. I did it because the vision recording is one of those that it's a little bit more involved. And basically what it is it's a way to maintain a current perspective and get yourself into a motivated state precisely when you are in a spot like this. Like, I need clients. I'm working so hard. I'm not yet seeing the results. It's a way to maintain that vision. It's what I used a lot. And so a lot of it is trying to get Andrew, it's a suggestion, but it's a very, I don't know, I feel like this is a good demo of how to suggest a coaching exercise, like when to suggest a coaching exercise, how to suggest a coaching exercise, and we'll just see how that exercise goes the other 15 minutes here.
Yeah. And the reminder that it's only a 15-minute session, hence potentially having to suggest a tool earlier on. You don't have a lot of time.
Yeah. Don't. There was a coach I worked with. He would always start with, after getting the agenda set, so how do you want to begin? Like, where do you want to start? And I thought that was a really interesting way to put a lot of the work on the client. And sometimes I can see where that's really useful, other times a question, but that's also an option too. So this would be on the other end of that spectrum, or, hey, I have a suggestion of an exercise, are you game? And here we go.
Yeah, I feel like my motivation is fluctuating between it's easy to do the coaching. It's hard to do the marketing.
Right.
Is kind of how I'll say it. It's and that's more coming from a place of this is new to me. This is not what I went to school for. This is something that I'm learning for myself on my own. And so that motivation of, and I don't want to be on social media like 3 hours a day. Like, that's just not the type of person I am, and that drains me. So that's where the fluctuation of motivation is. It's like putting myself out there. Like, I have my tools. I sit down every morning. I have my morning routine. I create a list, and I get the things that I put down, like down on my action list. I get them done, and even small actions to big actions, to reaching out to people, to working on the workshops and designing the tools that I'm working on. And then when it comes to social media, it's like it's like a black hole.
Right.
So it's crazy. So and that kills my motivation. That makes it feel more conditional than intrinsic.
Right. You tap especially into that empathetic motivation. What's that vision, or where do you see, what's that one person whose life you're reaching? Like, what's happening in their life? Let's say 2 years from now.
Yeah, I think that one person that I'm trying to reach, I think for me, I see them really embracing all that life has to offer with that growth mindset, and yeah, and just enjoying it. Like, that's what I see from teenagers that I'm exposed to now, is that they just don't seem to be enjoying life. And the impact that coaching had on me is I really enjoyed, like, I started enjoying life in a different way. And I think that's what I really want to impact, is that, like, shift someone into that kind of positive spiral of motivation and enjoyment of being in their life, of like this is a fun challenge. Like, this is everything here is helping me to grow. And like, it's exciting because I think that's infectious and powerful, and that's what really defines a successful person. And not success, I think too, what I really care about is defining that, helping that person enjoy their life and have success, but in their definition, not what the external factors are experiencing, not what they think they should do, but like what they really believe is best for them, and like to feel confident in that, pursuing what they want, even if that's not traditional, even if that's not what everyone else is doing, or if that's not what. Yeah, that I think that's super important to me, and I don't want to. I don't want. I don't want to. I don't want to guide any teenager in a way that, even if their parents are like, we want our teenager to be this, like, okay, well, what does your teenager want to be? And I want to give him confidence in being who he is, not, and even if that's not going to school or doing an alternative route, like, it's like that's what's important. And I think there's a huge adventure in life in figuring it out, and we don't need to arrive at a certain destination at any point. And so enjoying, like, yeah, just enjoying and being successful. Our definition of success is my vision for someone that I'm trying to impact.
What are you noticing about the intensity or direction of your motivation just talking about this?
Yeah, it lifts me up. It makes me stoked.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm passionate about it, like so passionate about it.
Mhm.
I'm not here doing this profession to make money. I'm not here changing my entire life to go this way to prove anything to anybody. I'm here to make a change in the lives of young people, the way that I felt it. Like that's why I'm here. I'm not it's so meaningful. It's so powerful.
Mhm. Mhm.
And I think, like, every day, like, even though some days, like, there's a huge fluctuation and there's a huge duality to starting my own thing, and like there's some good days and it's just like, hell yeah, like, let's go. And there's some bad days, but like there's a duality to that. And I think I have a lot of mindfulness to that, of just like, okay, this is going to fluctuate, and that's okay. Like you can't have up without down. Like there's no possible way of having just one side of the coin. It's just always positive. And I think just really yeah, like I just wake up though every day just like, man, like this is cool. I'm up to something big. Like this feels right. So
I think, I mean, this is a good start to crafting a structure around a vision to keep you motivated, especially to look at the marketing side.
mhm.
What's the next step for you in marketing? Like, for you to learn more about that marketing?
Yeah, I think, I mean, just you saying to learn, I think is probably the direction I should go, because I'm more just shooting from the hip that I'm doing a lot, but I don't
Yeah.
know if
And
it's
that's
right.
not a bad, that's, yeah, right. That is part of the process, right? Like, you just got to,
Yeah,
marketing is guessing.
yeah, it's guessing, and it's like blind guessing in a way. It's like I don't really know where it's landing.
Right.
So I don't know where the engagement is, and I think maybe, and so that's what.
Oh, yeah. Stop here for the sake of time. Andrew, he's bringing it. He's totally bringing it. And I'm weaving it back in. He didn't really take up okay, this is not the usual vision recording ideas of, okay, this is what I want to see. This is what it will be like. Let's put yourself in that space. Let's lay down some script on top of a song. We haven't got that far yet, but just listening to his motivation, even just talking about why he's doing what he's doing, you could feel the energy go up. So that's point one. I heard. Well, I'll stop there. I have one more point, but it's easy.
Yeah. And I want to point out once again, coaches that are listening, I really liked your question, John. And that really shifted his energy when you asked him about that one person, that wanted to impact. I mean, that just opened him up. And you could see, he's talking about all these dreaded things initially. He's using words like stagnation, and this kills my motivation. And then you ask him that question, and there is that whole shift. And I really like that follow-on question that you also asked around the intensity, the change in the intensity of his motivation, because we could see it happening, all of that in front of us. There is one other thing that I'm curious about, but I'll let you add anything that you might want to add there.
I like the inside the room question. What's it like to talk about this? I thought that was strong. And then the other thing, the other point that just move off slightly from that is that one question. So the learn, when I slipped that word learn into what do you need to learn about the marketing? I felt like that was, I don't know, perhaps leading too much, maybe. But I wanted to shift it away from getting it right or wrong to, okay, how can I create a system that I can discover more and explore more? And I feel like that helps get there.
Yeah. So it's purposeful around systems. And there was learning versus the doing as well. So there is that difference there. I know we're almost at time. The only other thing that I'm curious about is when he's talking about dualities, and these dualities are important to him, yet he said he's in this to make a difference, but he's not in it to make money. Yet the not making money is what is the challenge and the stagnation. So I was just curious about the duality between making a difference and making money, because he kind of clearly just there declared that out loud. And I'm like, where is that a potential limiting belief? I'm not in this to make money. So I was just observing that and just curious about any dualities around that.
Yeah, I love that one. I didn't pick up on, I mean, I didn't touch that. But yeah, I would have that is totally an avenue I probably could and should have gone down. At least touched upon it.
So I guess we better get into this demo, hadn't we? Part 2 with Andrew, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yes.
it's part 2. Yep. Here he is. Here we go.
That's what feels a lot better about, like, I had this camp idea. I was like, okay, like, I never wanted to do coaching in summer. Like, kids aren't that engaged. I'm like, okay, summer intensive camp. Like, that sounds awesome. Like, that's something that would be marketable to a parent, like, design, come out of it with a leadership project. Like, all in all, like, that would be really cool, easy to market, like, target audience, like parents, like, okay, if your kid's on the couch, like, this is something that you get to get them there. And then it's like, okay, well, if I was a kid, I wouldn't want to go back into a classroom setting. Like, that sounds, I want to do something fun during the summer. And I love being outside, and it shifted to like, well, what if I did the same structure, like the same concepts, the same coaching, group coaching, but on a backpacking trip? And like, that's rooted in my core of like who I am, of like being outside, like adventure, creating that, like being present in the natural elements. And like, those are the best connections that I've created in my life, is when like I was outside with friends. Those are when I learned the most about myself, like climbing mountains in Nepal, being in Yosemite, like all these things are just such powerful experiences for me. And then adding coaching onto that, and but the powerful conversations that come to that with a group that's like, where there's like, there's a sense of exposure and vulnerability that's just inherent to just being on a trip like that. I'm like, that's me. That's like my bread and butter. That's like who I am. I can deliver that even just to my friends without the coaching aspect. Now I add the coaching aspect, and I feel like that could be really cool.
You got some homework.
I got a lot of homework. I think
You got some homework.
you
got some homework. Three things, homework. Thing one, I feel like this is a visual recording. Like, this is
Okay.
enough of a start for you to lay down some audio. What this looks like, the excitement of it, all of it, as a motivation structure.
Okay.
Feels like enough.
Okay.
2, what are your thoughts on doing some ideal client interview? find the moms, the dads, the parents who want, who you would love to work with, and ask them, what would make this interesting to you?
Okay.
What would actually get you to sign up for it and say, yeah, this is it?
I've never thought of that. But I think that could be that would help me learn more about what to do.
I'm gonna pause here again, restart the share because I realized maybe I didn't share audio on this one. And it's probably a good stopping point anyway. So what do you think, Raj, so far? I know we're jumping in the context, all of it. We're jumping right in the middle. Yeah.
I do want to remind people as well, go and listen to the first part, because John also shares, this is a long-term client, isn't it? Someone that you've worked with before. So, you have this connection and rapport there as well. You asked a question in part one, and you can see here how the energy has even shifted, when he's talking about the things that he enjoys and, this is my bread and butter. It's like something is opening up inside of him. There's very different his energy here than it was even at the beginning. I'm curious, John, you've shared there with him a couple of suggestions about the vision recording and then also the ideal client interview. But I note that you shared it with him in terms of what do you think, right?
Yeah.
It was opened up. So anyone that's listening, coaches, could be like, is that leading? Is it not leading? What would you say around that?
Yeah, I mean it's interesting when I was listening to it and thought, oh, here are three things. I think, oh no, here we go. The coach is going to start to pontificate on these are the three things that need to happen. That's not what you want. You want to ask questions. The first one feels like I want to capture his excitement. That's fine. Vision recording it's a suggestion. I think that these kind of leading questions or suggestions like this, they're okay as long as a coach is not attached to the client actually doing them, right? Following, if it becomes an argument, like you need to do this, they don't want to do it, or they don't pick up on it. That's the problem. Maybe not my best coaching at this point, but I can't help it. I think, and I do, and a part of me would argue that maybe it is best coaching at this point. What I did like about it is point two, I opened it right up. Like, what do you think about doing ideal client profiles? So the idea is, I think from a coaching standpoint, the import is, yes, you should do them. Do the ideal client profile. What do you think about that? I think from a pure strategic and no put on the business hat standpoint, a little bit, it's a hard one. It's ambitious. Putting on a summer program for teenagers involves so much work. It's a lovely idea. The logistics of this are massive. And I think from a pure practical standpoint, the ask is huge. I don't think it's feasible. It would take basically anytime you put on an in-person workshop or something like this, it takes about a year to put together. I think that we're doing this session some point in February. Summer is just around the corner. I mean, it's here right now. I don't think it's feasible. From a coach standpoint, I'm thinking it's ambitious, it's lovely, but it's not feasible. So my suggestion of have you talked to parents and got their input on this? What would actually get them to move the ball forward on this with their child? That would give Andrew very valuable information. What I find though is even if the idea itself is not feasible, there are elements that are, and at least exploring them lead to those elements, lead to this idea. And perhaps it works out. Like, let's say that he doesn't put on the workshop himself or lead the thing himself, but there's an organization that already has the infrastructure and logistics of a summer program, and they see what he's up to, and they think, wow, we want to integrate this into what we do. Or we want to figure out a way that we could bring coaching into this, and maybe he does a 2-hour experience with students who are already involved in a ropes course, or maybe he contacts ropes course places, and he's in Portland at this point, around Portland, and contacts all of them and say, this is what I do. how can I, maybe it's not a whole week, maybe it's a half day. Maybe, so even though if the grand idea might not be feasible to pull off in a period of time, there are elements of it that are feasible. So those are all the thoughts that's happening with me as a coach. Would I send this in as an MCC recording? No. But do I still think it's valuable coaching? Yes.
And thank you for sharing that, John, because I think that there is that great demonstration between managing your own experience and knowing what it takes to put on programs and leaning into curiosity instead, isn't it? Because we could, if we've done this before or we know it, we might start to lean on that experience or expertise, or perhaps even make assumptions, yet you're choosing to be curious in that moment and hand it back to him.
Yeah, well, he takes it too. He literally says, "I've never thought of that. That's a good idea. Let's do it." Fine, but as a coach, you don't want to get into the "let's pat myself on the back" moment. It's okay. So when are you going to do it? What's it like? I mean, stay over there on Andrew's side, and let's get the job done. Like, the world needs more coaching. It's no longer an excuse of, oh, like, I don't think that I'm not good enough, or the profession is this. Like, no. Just, it's not about us. It's about how can we create these experiences for humanity so we can help humanity move the ball forward. That's the bottom line. And there's a certain level of impetuousness of it needs to happen now. Like, go and talk to your target audience, the people you want to serve, and ask them, what do you most need? What would really get you to decide to hire a coach? These are really valuable questions to ask. It forms the foundation of establishing any kind of business. I did it myself when I established my coaching practice. I did it when establishing and working with coaches, training coaches. The biggest thing, training coaches, people who are interested in being a coach, the number one thing by far, isn't even in second place, is how do I establish a business doing this? Really closely after that is, am I enough? Those are the two things. I wrestle with them too. Everyone wrestles with them.
Me too.
And welcome to the game.
Absolutely. Okay. I'd love to keep listening, John. What's next?
Let's keep it rolling. Okay. All right, here we go.
Yeah, I can.
Don't have
And
the
I
gas.
know people. Yeah. Or like,
Don't have the gas.
yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Much
I think-
pressure. Even, and it's super common. I did it. Every new coach does it. You guess, you try it. I've learned just recently. Don't guess. Just interview them. Ask them.
Just ask. Yeah.
Yeah, I need 20 minutes.
Yeah. Okay. Don't guess, just ask. Don't waste my time.
All right.
Don't. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That sounds super actionable and much easier than just continuing to just throw myself out there and just hoping something is going to stick to the wall.
There's a bit of that too. And I mean, I applaud that. That's amazing that you did the step. You did the thing that you said you're going to do in our last session. That's amazing. And now you're asking yourself, where are my blind spots? Where am I not seeing the things?
Yeah.
Big question is, like, how can you incorporate asking, and like, how can you ask more, guess less?
Ask more, guess less. Okay. Think.
I have to go to another one. I am stacked today, so unfortunately I have to run. Like, I've been on back to back since like 6:30 this morning.
Oh
So
my God.
I do have to run. Yeah. It's wild. Careful for what you vision for. You know what I mean? You got to get very specific in those visionings, because a lot of it comes true. And it's amazing. Like, it's lovely work. It's really powerful work. This is amazing. I'm so proud of the progress you're making. Just like what you're talking about is like, oh, yeah, you're there. I can see it for you.
Yeah.
but it's going to require it's going to require asking more, guessing less, but still guessing and still putting yourself out there.
Yeah, just not stop that momentum.
All the above.
Okay. Create more intentionality behind it. So
Yeah, it's working a little smart. It's fine tuning the ask. You know, so it's the ask isn't, I need you to react to my guess as much as it's a shift to, I just need to just ask very specific questions.
Okay.
I mean,
well, sick. Okay. Well, thank you so much, John, and I appreciate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me know how it goes. Send me a note.
Okay, I will.
Cool.
Thank you.
All right.
Bye.
I don't like it. I said 3 things. I didn't get to the third thing. Right. But I think I know what was happening. I knew I was stacked. I remember that day. I don't like this ending at all. This is not my best coaching. It's, but I know why. Yeah, it's too much in one day. What would have been more powerful here was to wrap it up, make no reference to self. Yeah, I mean, this is an example of what not to do in terms of wrapping it up. It made it about me. Yeah, no, this is not good. Not my best.
And this is what I really admire about you, John, is your openness to self-reflect, the feedback, observe, and that's part of the journey, isn't it? So coaches who are listening, sometimes we expect perfection of ourselves, or it can be really, really daunting to look at the things that we might not be doing great versus the things that we are doing great. And that is part of an overview process or a self-assessment process. So, John, what helps you to stay in that kind of growth mindset?
I'm always striving to become better, and I know that I'm good. I have enough experiences knowing, I've created brilliant moments. I know how to coach. What I'm really fascinated though is in when they're under stress and pressure. And I know what was happening here at the same time, trying to fit in a 20-minute session to get a demo so that I can follow up with Andrew in a tight spot. The logistics of things, I could beat myself up over that for sure. I also know where I'm at. I'm curious. I mean, what I'm curious about it is when, in the cracks and the stress and the pressure, like when coaches have to do overviews. So part of the assessment process is, what we do is coaches in training will record themselves working with clients, and then they bring that recording to an assessor, and the assessor looks at it. Well, thing one, you're already under stress knowing, okay, I'm trying to do this thing that I'm never done before, and I'm recording it. So that's already stressor 1. So I mean, for stressor 1 and stressor 2, new thing, recording thing. Thing 3 is now I have to do the logistics of the recording and somehow get this recording into the hands of the assessor. So now you're dealing with the technical logistics. Thing 4, you're listening to yourself. We often don't listen to ourselves. We don't listen to ourselves in recordings, things like this. So you're adding another thing to that list. And then 5, you're getting graded on it, which brings up all kinds of things from people from school. And they want to get the 100%. They want to do it right. They have self-narratives and stories that they're really trying to aim for. So now you're dealing with all of those stressors. However, I choose to take the perspective of those stressors show your cracks more often. They show where you're still lacking. And in this kind of situation here, I realized, oh my goodness, I am so like working with Andrew. A short time. I know what I have going on. I had been stacked back to back that day. I know exactly what Andrew needs to do, more from a mentor role, not from a coach role. What would have been cleaner in this situation is if I said, look, Andrew, this is not coaching. I'm just going to mentor you for just a moment because I've been in his position. I know the pain. I know the struggle. I also hear his excitement. I hear what he's up to. The thing you need to do is this. These are the 5 things you need to do. Knock it out. Like stop guessing. And so I got to the most important thing, but I think thing 3, if I were to think back on it, I kind of wish I'd known what thing, I don't want to do that. I know I say these are the 3 things, then I don't finish the 3 things. I probably think three, if I were to go for it, would be to connect with other organizations who are already doing it and start there too. Like, get the networking thing going. I remember once I was speaking to, it was a large group, and I was telling a story, and I only told 2/3 of the story. And someone afterwards said, "Hey, you didn't finish your story." And this is a story I've told many, many times, but I did not finish it in that group. And I thought, oh my goodness, I left everyone hanging. Here's a book I was reading as well. And they told a story and they didn't tell the end of the story. And I read the whole book and I realized, wait a second, they didn't actually finish the story. So it's the thing that I do. It happens. It's one of the things I really want to clean up in my communication. And I'm seeing it right here. And it's a little horrifying, but at the same time, I embrace the growth that comes from this.
And thank you, John. Thank you for sharing your beautiful moments. Thank you for sharing your perspective, your openness, your growth mindset, your willingness to just reflect on yourself in that way as well. I will say as well, though, even in those last kind of couple of minutes where you're like, oh, I don't like it, and perhaps we were seeing mental mode. Yeah, I could also see where you were using some of the acknowledgement tool, which is a coaching tool. You were using the championing tool, which is a coaching tool. And you did ask that question, what would it be like to ask more and guess less? So there was those coaching bits in there that I did hear. Yet, as you said, it's also a great example, because we need these examples, don't we? Not of just all things that are done brilliantly, but real life scenarios. As you said, you were busy, you were stacked, you were back to back, and we all have to give ourselves some grace as well.
Yeah, you're very kind, Raj. I think this is, to me, this is a hard no for me. Like, listening to this, I'm thinking this is a horrifying hard no. And there was just so much opportunity here, to really help move the ball forward in a meaningful way. And we did, but in some ways, but the missed opportunities are abounding in this one for me.
Yeah. Well, not being kind, just saying it as it is. In our missed opportunities is also an opportunity for everyone else to learn and grow, isn't it? So I've learned a lot.
Me too. For me as well. Yeah, I've thought about this too. I thought, because what the two things that happen in the coaching process, one is you learn about yourself as a coach. When you're in the coaching process itself is a huge self-growth opportunity. Thing two is also establishing a business is another huge growth opportunity. And establishing a business it's hard. It's not for the faint of heart. What you get out of it, though, is a deep understanding of yourself, and you see your blind spots, and you see areas where you need to grow. I'm seeing them here, like listening to this recording, and it's fascinating to still see elements of things that I've really tried to work on where there's still hints of it. And a lot of my question goes to, well, why is that still there? What's still here? My old self would have been embarrassed, not really beating myself up. Current self is oddly excited in a weird way. It's oh, okay, it's still here. There's a little bit here. All right. Like, what's that about? Where does it need to go? How can I grow? That's it. I mean, it just might be 2 decades of being swimming in the coaching soup coming through. Mm-hmm. That is my honest where I'm at listening to this.
Thank you, John. So what I'm taking from that is continually we remain curious. We ask ourselves, what else do I still need to learn? And on that note, I'm grateful for you. I'm grateful for everyone listening. And I look forward to seeing you in a couple of weeks. Take care.